Hello, everyone. Today we're going to put a presentation on concerning the Sunday Law Death Decree. We, as present truth believers, know very well that there's going to be an upcoming law, first issued throughout the United States and then to go to the world, uh, demanding that we worship on Sunday the so called true Lord at that time. And so today, we want to go ahead and give the lesson about this so that we get a little bit more clear understanding from the message about just what is this death decree, when does it take place, and so forth. So we have prayed, and we ask that you do the same. And then after you've done that, begin the video, and we shall go over the points together. Let us begin. Of course, we all know that Revelation 13, verses 15 to 17, is the basis for us knowing that the Sunday law is going to come, and as well as issuing that death decree. So we'll pause for a moment so you can read this verse. So in this video, what we'd like to accomplish is a few things here, three questions we want to look at and try to address. When does this happen? Where does this happen? Who will this happen to? This is concerning that dreadful death decree and what takes place. A lot of us are familiar with the Great Controversy, page 626. We'll go ahead and pause so you can read this one. So here, when we read this, we understand that there's going to be some real trouble from the government around the world to the commandment keepers. And this obviously is going to be a very trying time for them, as it says that they're going to run to the mountains and get the protection from the angels of God. And so we want to show this to give you a quick synopsis of what the message shows in regards to the death decree and what happens to the people that flee it. Okay, so inspiration, as we know, down through time, we know that the scroll travels. It first begins at Genesis and travels all the way down to our time. And as the scroll unrolled from spirit prophecies prior enlightening of us about this death decree and fleeing to the mountains, well, this question naturally was brought up to illuminate more about this. And so we found on Answer Volume 2, page 66 and 67, the question about if God's people are in the kingdom during the loud cry, how can they be put in prison or driven to the mountains during that time? As the spirit prophecy asserts, they will. The Great Controversy, page 626. So the prior reading that we saw from Great Controversy is addressed in this specific answer, and it really illuminates more about the scenario here. So this is the answer that was given, and we'll pause for a minute for you can read this one. So we see that the answer clearly is that this is not concerning the 144,000, rather the great multitude. And unfortunately, not every one of the great multitude is shown to safely enter into the kingdom. And this is why Spirit Prophecy illuminated on this particular part of the message. She saw, and one of the points that we want to bring out to the attention right here is that the Spirit of Prophecy, as we know, did not get the light, the full blaze of light on the 144,000 and much of the end time scenario that is, revolves around the 144,000. So when she saw this vision about the saints going to the mountains, she did not know it at this time, obviously, but she was describing the great multitude. And that was the great light that she had. She had a lot of light on the great multitude. In fact, we'll find that throughout much of the end time writings from Ellen White, that she expounded upon the situations that happened in regard to the great multitude. Not so much on the 144,000, because if God had given her that light, then what need was it for the Elijah message to come? The Elijah message purpose was to illuminate about the 144,000 and the great multitude in regards to the end times. And so this was the great Elijah message that was to give us this light, just like we witnessed right here in this answer. It gave us more clarity. Okay, so the great question next is when? When is this going to happen, the death decree? Can we get more ideas about the specific time that this death decree happens? And so in Maranatha, page 269, Spirit Prophecy gives us a good timeline here. So we see a great reference here that gives us a lot of clues about what to expect. We can gather from here, and we'll expound about this more as we go through the lesson here. Is that the loud cry is to take place, and the Sunday law at that same time is to take place. However, there's going to be a certain amount of time before that drastic decree is issued. Even though they have the Sunday law in place, this does not necessarily come all at once. So we know that once the Sunday law is given to first, as we say, the United States, and then it goes to the world, that's signifying the woman riding the beast. We'll show the chart on that and explain more. But there is a period of time here that we have to understand that Satan doesn't pull out his final big weapon at the initiation of the Sunday law. And so this Sunday law seems to be kind of loosely, even though enforced, loosely knit law at the beginning. And this is all, of course, God's method of letting the people still come out and come into the kingdom. So here is something that we find from the Lord's Elijah message that gives us more light. What I like about this one is the fact that, well, I'll let you read it first and then I'll get to it. So this is very powerful, brethren. We see that, and we just explained a little bit ago, that Satan will not enact blue Sunday laws until after he has exhausted every other weapon against the church. So this goes again towards the idea that once the loud cry headquarters is set up, there's going to be a certain amount of time here that the saints are going to be allowed to work. And they're going to be warning, as it were, something that has not come into effect yet. And that is, they're going to be warning about this Sunday law coming in. And so we see that Satan will, after a certain amount of time, start to enact this Sunday law. And that's after he's done other things against the saints and against the people that are coming into the message at that time, to hinder them from coming into the truth, coming into the kingdom. So he's going to try other things first, apparently, before he goes into this Sunday law setup. So briefly, we've come to a timeline that we can start to see. The loud cry work is allowed to proceed for a time before the Sunday law is established and the final act of the death decree is given. One of the reasons why we wanted to bring this video out today is because we have heard from some other brethren, present truth believers, that the Sunday law happens immediately after Ezekiel 9. And I think if we study the totalitarian total, the total part of the message, we put all the different pieces on the table, we will come to a clear conception that this cannot be. There's too many verses, too many references. We just have a little bit to show tonight, but the vast amount of preponderance of evidence shows that there is no way that this Sunday law can immediately happen right after the Ezekiel 9 church judgment. There's no way. So we wanted to issue this tonight. We say that because many of our brethren are around the world in different parts of the country, and our today is their tonight. But we say that because this issue really isn't clear, and we're surprised as we become more and more familiar with the message and our brethren and everything, that we really haven't sat down and taken the time to put all the reference on the table here and look at the whole scenario. And so I thought that this would be very important to put this video out. Okay, this is another reference that shows that the kingdom church must be set up before the devil turns upon the remnant, those who are left behind and who are then being gathered, and against whom he wars for refusing to worship him in the person of the beast and his image, Revelation 13:15. So once again, we have solid evidence right here that the kingdom church, which is set up in Israel right after Ezekiel 9, must be set up before the devil turns upon the remnant. So let's keep this in mind, that the Sunday law cannot be enforced and cannot be actually in place until the kingdom is set up. So the Lord has his way of making sure that the foundation is set before it is even destroyed. Okay, so before Satan and his workers try to destroy it. Of course, we know once the foundation is set, it's permanent. The kingdom, as the stone in Daniel 2 shows, becomes a great stone, great mountain. And this is something that we praise the Lord. It will not be defeated after it's set up. And we go back to our harvest period and close of probation chart, which again gives us the scenario. We'll take our little arrow here. And then, as we know, the Ezekiel 9 judgment comes, and then the church federation. But during this time, this is the loud cry period beginning, and the saints are going to go to work. There's going to be a lot of success right in this period where on the opposite spectrum, the church is putting in their federations, getting their dastardly work together as a church community to go against the saints. But this is the time period right there. And then, of course, we have this as it succeeds. Then we have the false prophet and the beast come on the scene, and start to do their counter work. We know that the miracles and so forth, the counter miracles, will be issued at the same time to deceive, all those that are coming into the truth. And so this is the great deception right here. And this is the time where the Sunday law becomes to be into effect right here with the two-horned beast, the United States. And of course, we have down here the evolution of this system, whereby it gains strength around the world. The woman sits upon the ten-horned beast, the universal system, and Satan attempts his last try at blockading the truth, blockading the kingdom, and even to the point of the death decree. And here's a reference that we wanted to show you to show more of what we're saying. The beast decree and its rigid enforcement of it are not for the purpose of purifying the church, but for the purpose of blockading the way out of Babylon, thereby holding the world captive. This he does specifically to halt the steady flow of multitudes of converts to the then already purged and purified church. Beautiful reference here, brethren, that gives us great clarity. We can see that the reason why that Satan sets this up is because of the great success that the saints are having, getting the multitudes of converts into the kingdom. And so this is when the last stop, as it were, from Satan is put in place, the death decree. Once the success has reached a certain point where it's infuriating and there's something that has to be done to stop the success, that is when the final death decree is issued to stop the purification of God's kingdom. And this is a time where we've already learned is very, very serious and the ultimate high point of this controversy. Now, stepping back for a minute on this whole lesson, one of the tricks today, in fact, one of the biggest tricks today, is the following. We'll let you read this. This is from 2 Symbolic Code number 1, page 10. So we see here that unfortunately, the masses in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and I'm talking mostly about the leaders, are so far into this snare that they can't see anything but this snare. And we say that because we see so many videos today by many so-called true brethren warning us about the upcoming Sunday law, about the Pope, about all these dangers. We see this from Amazing Facts. We see this from several other videos on YouTube, all warning us about this upcoming Sunday law. But we see that this is a trick. And what we find really fascinating is how the inspiration terms it a cat playing with a mouse. So this is a trick. Satan is enjoying the trick that he has placed upon these brethren, who instead of giving the true warning about the church purification coming, they have been tricked into saying, well, we're all going to make the future. We're all going to be there to see the Sunday law. So we have to start warning everybody out there in the world about the Sunday law. What a trick. Okay, brethren, this is a false trick by Satan. So the sooner we know that, the better we are. And I think that this is important that we remember this so that we can warn our brothers in the church today. You got to stop this trick, brother. You got to get with the program. And just like the inspiration says here, they have to start sounding the alarm to arouse the church. This is the purpose of the Elijah message. You know, one of the things that we have to call back to our memory is the type. The Elijah message did not go to the world. It went to his own people. So in the antitype, when the Lord said in Malachi 4, verse 5 and 6, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the great and dreadful day. The antitype message of Elijah is the same as the type, a warning to our people. Get ready. You can no longer serve Baal. The judgments of God are coming upon us as a people. And so this is our message today. Not this foolish trick message of Satan to warn about the Sunday law. There'll be plenty of time for the warning. And that's the time where the Lord is set in his final plan for us as a present truth believers. We can't jump the gun and say that we can do work that isn't delegated to us as a people right now. So let's close with our summary. The loud cry message that comes from its headquarters in Israel will be allowed to do its work for a time. Great success will be seen. Of course, we can find that description in Revelation 7, verse 9. Number 2, Satan will be infuriated with this success and will pull out all stops to enforce the death decree connected with the Sunday law. Number 3, some of the great multitude will be those whom will face this death decree. The others will be inside the kingdom domain, Israel, safe and secure. So this is what the message tells us in regards to the death decree and what to expect. Now, we don't know the extent of this death decree, how many it will affect, and the great numbers that will affect. It might be a fairly small amount. We don't know the specifics on that, but we do know that some, unfortunately, for whatever reason, will not be able to get into the kingdom and have to go through this persecution, this death decree situation. But the Lord will deliver, and that's the main thing. He will deliver all that's under his protection. And we know that the great multitude, even those that are stuck outside the kingdom, have made their choice. They have stood for the Sabbath. They have stood for the message. And therefore, the Lord will not refuse to protect them. And a great controversy, great controversy, and much of spirit prophecy goes into this part where the people that are stuck in this situation are protected. So that's the great thing. Okay, well, we hope you've enjoyed this study, and once again, we're honored of the Lord to give a present truth presentation while we have probation open, and we pray that if you are enlightened with this, please spread this to others that it may benefit, and we hope that your present truth studies continue to go forward and draw closer to the Lord. This is the main purpose of this message, is to draw close to the Lord and learn his truths and be prepared. So until next time, God bless.